For years, Eloise Bridgerton has defied expectations, refusing to settle for anything less than a love that is as wild and free as she is. But with the pressure mounting and the whispers growing louder, one question lingers. Will Eloise finally find love, or will she choose a different path entirely? In the glittering world of high society, where everything seems so perfect on the surface, will Eloise be able to find something real? Or will the search for true love prove to be just another adventure she's destined to walk alone? Eloise Bridgerton is no stranger to defying the rules. From the very beginning, she's been the odd one out in the Bridgerton family. While her siblings embrace the idea of marriage and love as society expects, Eloise has always sought something more, something beyond the glittering balls and perfectly curated matches. Her independence has made her a fascinating yet somewhat misunderstood character in the eyes of the ton. As a young girl, she was never one to sit quietly in a corner at parties, waiting for some handsome suitor to come and sweep her off her feet. Instead, Eloise was the one who would ask the difficult questions, speak her mind, and voice her dissatisfaction with the way the world around her worked. Over the years, Eloise has had her fair share of suitors, each one charming, some more than others. But time and again she has turned them away, not because they were unkind or unattractive, but because none of them could offer the kind of connection she craved. Eloise wanted more than just a marriage of convenience. She wasn't interested in the type of love that was governed by status or societal expectations. She wanted passion, excitement, and someone who would challenge her intellect and her spirit. In her mind, a match made out of pure necessity wasn't a match at all. It was simply a trap. Her closest confidant, Penelope Featherington, often spoke of Eloise's idealism. But for Eloise, it wasn't just about finding a husband. It was about finding someone who saw her for who she truly was. Not just another girl trying to fit into the narrow confines of high society, but someone with a mind of her own, capable of great thought and feeling. As Eloise grew older, the pressure to settle down intensified. Whispers followed her at every event, with people wondering when she would finally take her place in society as the dutiful daughter, wife, and mother. But Eloise refused to be boxed in by those expectations. Every time a suitor would approach her, asking for her hand in marriage, Eloise would smile politely and then quickly turn them down, citing a number of excuses. "I have too many books to read," she'd say. Or, "I'm simply not ready." The truth was, she wasn't afraid of marriage. She was afraid of a life that would strip away her autonomy and her sense of self. She had seen firsthand what happened to women who surrendered their independence for the sake of security, and it terrified her. But despite her resistance, there were moments when Eloise found herself questioning her choices. In her quieter moments, she would wonder what it might be like to have someone by her side. Would it be so bad to share her life with someone who truly understood her? Could love be something that didn't make her lose herself, but instead made her more of who she was meant to be? These questions began to haunt her as the seasons passed. The idea of love, real, true love, began to feel like an elusive dream, something that only others seemed to find. And yet, Eloise clung to the belief that love, when it came, would be worth the wait. As Eloise stood in the grand ballroom, watching her friends and family dance and mingle with ease, she couldn't help but feel out of place. The chatter around her about engagements, marriages, and matchmaking filled the air, but none of it seemed to hold any real meaning. It was all just noise. The world was moving forward with its prescribed roles, and Eloise was stuck standing at the edge, trying to figure out where she fit into it all. The question that echoed in her mind was the one she had avoided for so long. Was there a place for her in all of this? Was there room for Eloise Bridgerton to find the kind of love she had dreamed of? Or was she destined to remain on the outside, watching as everyone else found their happiness? The ball was in full swing, the elegant music flowing through the room and the soft glow of candlelight danced on the walls. Ladies in glimmering gowns swirled around the floor with their suitors, exchanging polite pleasantries and sharing fleeting smiles. It was a scene of perfect grace, where every moment seemed choreographed to fit the societal script. But for Eloise, Bridgerton, it felt like a cage. She stood at the edge of the room, her eyes scanning the crowd, though she wasn't looking for a dance partner. She wasn't even sure if she wanted to be there at all. The chatter around her was filled with one thing: marriage prospects. Who was pairing off with whom, and who was still up for grabs? It all felt so shallow. Eloise had never been one for the frivolous small talk that filled these gatherings. Instead, her mind wandered to deeper thoughts, questions about the world, about the people in the room, and about love itself. Her family had begun to grow concerned. Her brothers, kind and caring, would smile at her, offering polite comments about her refusal to join the dances. Her mother, ever the optimist, would nudge her with gentle reminders. "Eloise, dear, you're not getting any younger." Yet, Eloise felt more and more suffocated by the idea that love was simply an item to be checked off, a requirement to fulfill a role. And what did it really mean to love someone when it felt like everyone around her was simply searching for security and status? Was that all love was supposed to be? A well-dressed gentleman approached her with a warm smile, his bow slight but courteous. Eloise didn't recognize him, but she could guess his intentions. Another suitor, another man seeking to be her perfect match, as if the universe was filled with nothing but men trying to fit into the mold of a proper husband. Eloise offered a tight smile but didn't respond right away. She wasn't sure what to say. What could she say? Should she let him in, give him a chance? Or should she remain as she always had, guarded and cautious? They exchanged a few polite words, and Eloise's mind began to wander again. This man, with his charming manners and good breeding, was undoubtedly a good match by all standards. He would make any woman proud to be his wife. But he was missing something important to Eloise. Where was the spark? Where was the passion? With every polite smile and every perfectly timed laugh from the other women around her, Eloise felt more and more like an outsider. She had always known that the world around her didn't quite understand her. She didn't want to be another beautiful, silent figure who simply waited for her turn to marry. She wanted to be more than that. She wanted a love that was wild and unexplainable, something that would make her heart race, not just a contract to fill a space in society's expectations. The gentleman who approached her seemed so well-mannered and poised, but Eloise couldn't shake the feeling that they were all reading from the same script. They were playing a role, just as she had been told to. It was the same with every suitor. So why couldn't she find one who saw her for who she truly was, a person, not just a prize? Perhaps she was asking for too much. Perhaps the kind of love she dreamed of didn't exist in the world she had to live in. As the night wore on, Eloise retreated to a quieter corner, leaning against the wall. She closed her eyes for a moment, trying to escape the weight of the expectations. Would she ever find someone who could match her in spirit? Or was she destined to be a permanent outsider in a world where everyone seemed to already know their place? The question, once again, haunted her. Will I ever find love? That feels real, or am I chasing a fantasy? The introduction of a potential suitor, Eloise had long since given up on the idea of love at first sight. The mere notion seemed like a fairy tale, an illusion that only existed in the pages of books. After all, she had seen it all: the grand declarations, the extravagant courtships. But none of it ever seemed real. It was as if everyone around her was playing a game she had no interest in joining. But when the door to the drawing room opened and a figure she didn't recognize entered, something inside her shifted. He was different. At least, that's how Eloise felt in the first few moments of meeting him. The room was buzzing with conversations and laughter, but he stood out in an unexpected way. His manner wasn't one of grand gestures or calculated politeness, but rather a quiet confidence, as though he had no need to prove anything. His eyes met hers across the room, and for a fleeting second, it felt like there was a connection, a spark, perhaps. But Eloise quickly dismissed it. She wasn't one to entertain these thoughts, not after all the disappointments she had experienced. The man approached her slowly, without the usual flurry of formality that most suitors brought. Instead of bowing or giving her a rehearsed compliment, he simply smiled, as though they had already shared 1,000 conversations. His voice, when he spoke, was calm and steady, with an undercurrent of wit that immediately intrigued Eloise. "Don't suppose you have the faintest idea who I am," he said with a slight smile tugging at his lips. Eloise raised an eyebrow, her curiosity piqued. "I do not, but I have no doubt that you'll make it your mission to tell me, as most men in this room tend to do." He chuckled softly, clearly unfazed by her wit. "You're right. Most men would. But I'm not like most men.